In the previous videos, we saw how we can use Photoshop in vector graphics and 3D graphics, and also for the web. Now, in this video, we will see that we can use Photoshop also for video editing and video effects, and basically to do any montage of multimedia content. You can do like photo slides, and presentations, animation, and so on. So let's get started here, and I want to just create a new file, and I want to go directly in film and video, and I'm going to use the full HD format right here, the first one that you see on the top, and also check if there are like other templates if you want to start with a template. But I'm going to start with a brand new document here and create. Okay, so you see that, well, actually, I don't want the white background. So let me just go back and change this to black, or perhaps, something dark, like dark blue background, something like that. Okay, so this is going to be our empty screen right now. And you can see already that down here we have the timeline. And this is because I'm using the motion workspace. So if you want to switch from like static graphics in the standard workspace or in the others to motion graphics, you just click there, and this is the interface we're going to use. So we already know this because we saw this previously in another lesson. We have these save frames, so we should stay with the action and the title inside this safe area. And down here, well, it's the only new panel is the timeline, because we already know the histogram, the filters, which we can apply, of course, also to animation and to moving objects and to videos. And down here we have only the background right now. And on the left, we have the toolbar, which is optimized for video editing. And that's it. Nothing has changed so far. Now, if you want, you can use also Premiere Pro to do video editing and montage, and also After Effects if you want to do advanced effects using Adobe software. So here we just can do like little things, simple things, and as usual, fast and easy. So if I click down here on the timeline, we have two options. We have create video timeline or create frame animation. So if I go to create frame animation, you see it's going to create just one frame, and then we're going to proceed like frame by frame. But I don't want to show you this right now. I just want to show you the other way. So to switch from one and the other, you can click down here this little button to switch from timeline to frame animation. So we're going to go in the timeline animation. You can see timeline animation, again, is based on this timeline. And right now we don't have anything inside. So if I just go here and double click here on the background and unlock the background, this isn't going to be like a static background, but it's going to be a layer that I can work with. So you have to visualize together the timeline and the layers, because you can see here and here the layers. And right now we're using this layer right here, which has turned into an image. So now I have the first clip, and I can also click here on the borders and I can extend this, and I can start to see something else. Well, these are the seconds. So, and if I move the CTI, the current time indicator, I click and drag with the left mouse, and I go here, this is going to be like 1 second of animation. But right now, nothing is happening. We just have a blank, well, not a blank, but like a blue background, which is right there on the layer 0. If you want to add more layers, and that's what we're going to do, you can come here and like add a new video group, or you can just add a new layer from here. So if I click on the plus, you see I will create a new layer, and that new layer is going to go on top of the previous layer right here. And since this is a completely empty layer, I can expand this like and make them perfectly overlap, or I can decide that I want to like make this appear after, I don't know, like 10 seconds. And also down here you can see the actual seconds. So you can slide by clicking with the left mouse, you can slide down here to place the current time indicator somewhere, and then you can click and drag, and this is going to snap to that current time indicator. So I can say that here after 5 seconds I will have this layer appear. And what's inside this layer? Nothing by this time. So I need to add something in here. Now I can add, for example, a pattern. I can add a shape. I can add a text. I can add simple brush. So anything that I did in all the previous lessons, I can do it right here, and I can turn that into an animated layer. So let's first start with some pixel. So I'm gonna brush simply in here, and you can see here I'm using this like black paintbrush. Well, this is just an example. You can do whatever you want and choose whatever brush you like. And you see that now, if I go back here, this is not visible. And if I go like this, it's going to be visible after 5 seconds. And now let's create another layer. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to add a text. So let's go down here. And again, you can add shapes, you can add paths, you can draw like whatever shape you want. Well, let's make it like a triangle just to show you. So now this is going to be here a triangle. And of course, it's not visible because right now it has like no fill. So let's fill it. And then it doesn't have a stroke. So let's also increase the stroke. There you go. And with the layers, we can still use opacity. We can still use the opacity for the fill and for the stroke. We can still use blending layers. That still gonna be part of the animation. So again, anything I did with the static, I can do with the animation. And again, let's create another one. Let's create another layer and let's create a text. Well, actually, for the text, I don't need to create another layer. I can just add a text, and that's gonna like automatically create a new layer right here. And let's call this video animation or something like that. And perhaps I need to extend this, and I make it, let's make it more visible. Like let's get a color here, visible, more visible color. And I can use any font again that I downloaded or that I can find in my computer and in Photoshop. So I will use this one here. And of course, I can make this 3D. So I can use the simple text, and there you go. Or I can make it 3D. So I can also use 3D shapes. And that also goes for any other 3D that we created previously. And we can also apply other effects like drop shadow, outer glow, pattern overlay, gradient overlay, color overlay. Now, whatever we've done so far, we can still use it also in here. And we can also like export all this stuff in a Premiere Pro or After Effects or another video editing software if we don't want to stay here in Photoshop and we want to move forward. And here again I can check some blending modes, or I can like perhaps deactivate some of these. Yeah, I didn't like the gradient. Now it's kind of better in my idea. So if I go back, you can see all the things start to appear one after the other. Now, before we move forward with other multimedia content, let's check some of these buttons right here, which are really like classic. So you have the play and stop, and then you have like moving forward frame by frame, moving backward frame by frame, or like going all the way back. And then well, down here you see the FPS, which stands for frame per second. We are creating a video right now that is almost like 30 frame per second. So it means that I have 30 frames for each second of animation. And also you can see down here the time, which is expressed in frames. The first two numbers are the frames, and then you have the seconds, and then you have minutes, and then you have hours. So if I also like click here, double click or try, yeah, double click or click, it's gonna show you here to set the time. So if I want to go precisely to the like let's say the 10th frame, so I'm gonna type 10 and say okay, and that's gonna be like exactly there. Or if I want to be just at 1 second of animation, I'm gonna type here 1 and 00, and that's gonna be exactly 1 second. So this is another way you can move back and forth in your timeline. Now this green line, this is a pre-render. So now that I have rendered these first seconds, if I play back with the play, I'm gonna see that this is gonna be actually in real time. So these are gonna be actually 30 seconds, sorry, 30 frames per second. So it's not slowing down. Now look what happens when I move forward that line. Well, eventually it's gonna start to become red or another color. That's why we are not in real time, but we switched into like a slower process because Photoshop needs to render those effects. And right now these are two simple effects, but look what happens when I go here where the shape overlaps and also the text. So the more layer Photoshop has to render, the more it's going to slow down. Well, this is not slowing too much, but is still slowing a little bit. So the only way you can play back your footage in real time is to wait to have that line. And look at this, it dropped down more because here we have a text and we also have some style, some effects, so it's gonna be slower. Now let me stop this, so I'm gonna stop. A way to make this faster is to go here to the settings and choose the resolution to be 25%, which is right now where I am. But if you want to see the full quality, you should switch to 100%. Well, in that case, if you play, of course, that's never going to be real time because it needs to render. So again, it's going to be slower. Let's look here. If I press play, you can see it dropped down to 18 frames per second. So you may want to keep an eye on that to make sure that you're actually previewing at real time, and also make sure that when you want to go fast, you put this to 25%. When I want to see more quality, you put to 100%. And again, this is kind of a pre-rendering so that you can understand before you render everything out, your image, your animated image is going to be, your video is going to be. When you're finished, you just click on this little arrow and proceed with the rendering. But I'm gonna talk about this in following video together with other like frame animation and other things. We're gonna stay in here right now, but this is just to you know give you the full picture. Now you can also like cut um, and split a clip into two using the scissors, and also you can well, you can activate the audio and deactivate. And of course, you need to have, let's say, audio track, which we don't have right now, and we need to add it. And then you have the transition. So if I want to have transition, I can click and drag the transition, but to use a transition, you need to have two content, one after the other. So again, I'm going to show you that later. Well, essentially, we need more content. So let's start with the audio. So I can add an audio, or I can create a new audio track, empty, and then add more audio tracks. So you can add like people talking, and then like a music, and then sound effects, and a lot of stuff one by one. Now I'm gonna add an audio. You can add WAV, you can add MP3, or you can also add videos. So if I, for example, use a video here directly in my video lessons. So if I use like another audio from a video, I can open this. That's going to be really long because it's a long track. So I can click here and make it like smaller, just clicking and dragging here, make it snap right here. So this is going to only play the audio. The video is not going to be visible. So if I place the video right here, I will only see I will only hear the audio. If I place it up here, it's gonna also show the video. So let me just go here, and here in the video group, which is something you can create like this new video group, and you can also like delete, of course. I can add a video. So the video comes usually with the audio. So you can decide to play only the audio or the video and the audio file. So I'm gonna, to add a video, I can click here and add a media, and then I can select a video. Now there are some websites out there where you can get like free videos, and one of these is Videbo, and I can choose again one of these video, and I can just download it to use in my composition. Okay, so I want to use like kind of a dancer here, a video, and you have like also video for sale, but this one here is free, so I'm gonna go to the free download, just click here and save it in my, well, download folder, or in my case I created a Videbo folder where I can store this. And once it's downloaded, I'm gonna go to add it in my composition. Make sure here you have like the correct format, or just say all formats. And I'm gonna open this now, and so it's gonna be shown here like a video track, and you can see it's bigger than my the size here of my entire composition. So I can click on the move, I can move around, and I can also like place it perhaps right here on top of everything, but then I would need to let's choose another blending mode. So you can blend it with whatever is behind. So again, you can use layers, blending modes, and have a lot of other effects. And this is going to be way more harder to render by Photoshop. So it's going to take more and more time because this is now really heavy. I'm now hearing another audio from another video, so I can deactivate the audio from here, and I can activate and deactivate the whole audio tracks from here. So you see here, I brought the image inside this video group, so I can work with the whole video group, or I can work with the multimedia files that are inside the group. And if I want to create another group, I can also go like select here the text and click here and do new video group from clip. So that's going to create another video group, and it's going to put that file inside there. So you can work with groups, you can work with layers, depending on what you need to do. So you can add different multimedia files from here. You can also delete, and you can, for example, if I want to do like an image sequence, so I will go like at the end of my composition so far, and then I can click here and add media, and now I'm gonna add some photos. So I'm gonna go to the photos folder here that I've been using so far during the course. There it is, and let's select like more than one, so we can do like an image sequence, a slideshow of images. Now, I find very handy to use the details here. And if you right click, you can activate the dimension, so you can see before the dimension of the image you are selecting if you need it. Okay, well, let me just go back to small images. So I want to take like this one here, and I want to get, let me see here, this one here. I have only few horizontal images which are better for video, and this other one here. Okay, and let's say okay. So what it's gonna do is gonna bring the group, or the images one after the other. So you can see, there you go, you have the sequence. Now again, if the image is too big, you can also select it, and then you can like scale it down and make it fit, and say okay, and make it fit a little bit better. I'll be careful not moving the guys there. And then there it is. This is your image sequence. Now, another thing I can do is, let me zoom in and out. You can zoom in and out using this little cursor right here. We can add transition. Now that we have like consequential files and assets, I can go here and add a transition by, well, I can open it here and select which one I want to use. For example, I can crossfade, and this is the duration of the transition. You can also increase it or decrease it. So if I click here and drag it between two transition, so let's see if I select both and click here, and sorry, you need to click and drag from here to there. So I'm gonna have a transition from one to the other. And let's go like fade with black. Now, if you do like fade with black, one is gonna fade out and the other one is gonna fade in. So you have like these different types of transition. And let me just see here, fade, let's just fade. Okay, so I can add it also here. So it's gonna like fade in instead of like quickly appear. So I can use like this to soften the animation a little bit. Let me see if I can do it right here also. Yeah, so I will probably like place it everywhere because I don't want like things to appear suddenly. And another way to do that, now let's move forward. So let's go back to the first layer we created. So it was like the painted layer right here. So what I want to do is click on this arrow, and here I have the possibility to animate this layer using these effects. So I can animate the position. So if I turn this on, it's gonna place the first keyframe. Now I can move like right here, and maybe I can like move this a little bit, like a cloud. So you can see this is the animation I will get. And then you can also activate the opacity. So I can make this like, you can also click and drag these keyframes, and they're eventually gonna snap to the cursor. So I want to have this layer like the opacity of this layer. You can also turn this on and off. And I will just select the layer and like decrease opacity. So now it's like opacity 0, and then let's make it appear around here, and let's push this up to 100%. So you can see it created automatically another keyframe. So I can also do like fading like with this effect, and now I can see all the sequence and also the style. So let's see here, maybe the triangle here as could have a style. So let's expand the triangle, and you can see that I can also use a vector mask here. So depending on what you select, you have like other extra options that you can use. So I want to use like a different style. So I'm gonna activate the style, and perhaps I can change here some of the styles. So let's do like a stroke, and then let's do like see here, color overlay, outer glow. Okay, so you see this is gonna change over time. So it's gonna appear and then it's gonna change. And now let's go again back inside the effects, and let's like turn some of these off. There you go. So we have now another effect. So we can play really a lot with this stuff right here. Just gonna like, I'm gonna leave this, but I'm gonna make it less visible. So now you see all these different effects. Now I want to create another text down here to make it 3D. So just to show you that you also have a possibility to work with 3D, I'm gonna call this like VFX, and let's make it like a little bit bigger, like 300, and it's not visible because it's kind of underneath something else. So I'm gonna like bring it up to everything, so it's gonna be here in another layer. And okay, let's say that I want to like make it appear right here, and I need this to be a little larger and maybe a little smaller. Okay, so again, I can push this and place it in there, and I think this background moved a little bit. So you can also lock things if you want to make sure they don't move. So you can lock a layer, make sure it doesn't move. And so I can switch now to 3D. And when I use 3D, it's going to bring me to the 3D workspace if I want. And there you go. So what I can do is go back to the motion. And now I have this extruded text layer that I can work with. And I think I want to move it. And if you want, you can also open the 3D space. Well, just the 3D panel right here. So I want to select the text here, like bring it down here. Okay. And now I can play, let's see here, if I expand, I can play with the 3D camera position, with the 3D render settings, and all these 3D things moreover. And I have position, opacity, and style. And there you go. So these are all different things we can do here in Photoshop using these animation. So you can animate position, opacity, styles, 3D, and you can animate basically anything we have done so far. Then I can also work with this layer, and I can make it again blend, or try to make it a little bit more inside the rest of the animation. So this will be all for this video lesson. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe to the channel to stay updated. If you want to support us, please join the channel to support us, and also check our other courses and videos. So thanks, and see you in the next.